God. God exists, and I'm about to prove it to you.
Can't get more clear than that, can it? Now you got a picture there that says proof, a Jeff Bliss sketch. So I'm going to hazard a guess that your name is Jeff Bliss. I don't know if the vanity subtitle was strictly necessary, but it does add interest, if nothing else. And then you have a picture that appears to say that a glass of water is equivalent to a glass of agua, is equivalent to 1 drop of shui. Oh, that was a hiccup, sorry. That's not a joke. I actually do have the hiccups right now. It's really annoying. Can barely get through a sentence. Maybe I need a glass of water and or agua. And then you got God underlined, which appears unrelated to the water and agua and shui. And then you got what appear to be some diagrams of atoms, I would say. I thought maybe I could figure out what the argument is just by looking at this, but no, I have no idea.
All right, let's start right here. This is water.
At least that's what you want me to think. How do I know it's really water, Jeff Bliss?
Well, it's water because I'm a native English speaker.
Your personal history with the English language doesn't really establish what's in the glass, Jeff.
And native English speakers call this stuff water.
They might, but the question is, are they right or have they been tricked? That's the problem here. For all I know, that could be a glass of agua. See, I'm no fool, Jeff Bliss. I know all about you tricksy theists. I'm not going to let you get one over on me.
But does everyone call it water? No.
And why might that be, Jeff? Perhaps because it's not water. Perhaps secretly it's really vodka, which the Russians call vodka, which means water but little.
Down in Mexico, they say agua.
I knew it. I saw right through you, Jeff Bliss.
And when I was in Brazil, I believe they said the same. Agua.
Then again, just because they say it's agua doesn't mean it's not water. Maybe we're right. If we ever meet up, you can give me some of it for me to sniff. See if it smells more watery or more agua-y.
And I believe in China, they call it shui.
Oh, so that didn't say shui? I like shui better. Why is it only 1 drop for them? Is there less shui in China than water here?
But in any case, no matter what you call it, the stuff is the same.
That's right, Jeff Bliss. It doesn't matter what you call it. If that stuff is water, and you say it's some kind of agua or shui or whatever, it's still good old-fashioned American water.
That's point number 1.
That was a point? I've been just saying dumb shit this whole time because I didn't think we were at the point yet. Okay, point taken.
And there's the image right there of the 2 glasses of water and agua and the little water droplet that I wrote shui underneath.
Yeah, what the hell, man? Are the Chinese not allowed to drink out of glasses or what?
Okay, next concept.
Okay, I mean, that one was already a struggle, but if you take it slow, maybe I can follow along.
Do this really quick here.
Fine. Just don't expect me to keep up.
What is water?
The one on the left.
Well, water, you may know, is also known as H2O. Why H2O?
Because that's how God wanted it? I'm really looking for how we're going to connect this up to God, and I'm not seeing it.
Because there is 2 H's, H2, and there's 1 O.
Oh, why H2O in that sense? I didn't think you meant why do we call it that. I thought you meant why is it that specifically. I thought that was going to somehow put us over at the angle to get over to God, but nope. Man, it's not often I'm this stumped as to where a video's going to go.
2 H's means 2 hydrogens. 1 O means 1 oxygen.
Incredible stuff, spectacular, very enlightening. I feel like I've learned everything I need to know about this. I'm fully prepped, I'm lubed up, I'm ready for God.
So, I sketched those out, and it's called a water molecule, and it's made up of 3 atoms, 2 that are the same.
All right, let me just pause it right there because there's more of your Jeff Bliss sketch visible. So you have written oxygen, hydrogen, and then you have the gap space, electron cloud space, and the gap space, which as far as a thing to label, I guess is fine, but I can't even begin to imagine how it's going to become irrelevant. On the hydrogen atom, though, you don't have it labeled electron cloud space. You have it labeled enteral. That seems like a weird, mysterious term, so I'm going to assume that has something to do with your argument. It seems like it's going to be relevant. So I Googled it, and I got nothing. Then I asked ChatGPT, and it said, well, I don't know, but it sounds kind of like antral and enteral, which are anatomical terms. Then I asked about other languages, and it gave me a couple terms in Greek and Latin that don't really sound very similar at all. And then I said, well, it doesn't look very Western to me. And so it gave me a term from Sanskrit, Hindi, and Urdu, which is enteral, which sounds pretty much exactly the same as what you wrote. Now, you sell yourself as a hypnotist, a mindset coach. The idea of someone in that line of work tossing in some random Sanskrit and Hindi to sound fancy is pretty plausible in my opinion. And that's reinforced by the meaning of unteral, which is interval, gap, pause, separation, intermediate space or time, which lines up with your other labels. So it's very possible that all you're trying to say with unteral is that this is the space, except this time in Hindi, just for a change of pace, I guess. I'm sure you'll tell us about it, but that's my guess.
A hydrogen over there and a hydrogen over there and the oxygen in the middle. Okay, really quick, I promise, if you're not into the science, breakdown of what is the atom.
And here he proceeds to explain all the different parts of the diagram of the atom, which I don't think anybody here needs, and it's not nearly quick enough to be worth going through. So I'm going to cut it down to my preferred speed.
Nucleus, protons, neutrons.
There, see, isn't that better?
And one electron in orbit around the outside, around what we're going to call the space.
The space. Sounds very dramatic. I'm not sure why. Now, I have some difficulties with what you've said here. So I don't know if you mean this literally, but the idea that electrons orbit the nucleus in the way that planets orbit a star is a very old-fashioned classical physics kind of idea. It's not true. It's an idea that people still have because it's simple, it's intuitive, and they see it in pictures in books, which if it's from a good textbook, that won't be intended as a literal depiction of what's going on inside the atom. It's an extreme oversimplification to help the complete beginner to understand the general idea of atomic structure. In reality, because electrons are quantum particles, the situation is much weirder. An electron isn't a thing that's in one place. When we talk about an electron cloud, that describes where it's more likely to find an electron. And there's no volumetric space within atoms with an electron probability density of 0. There are points within orbitals where it's 0. For example, for p orbitals, it'll be 0 at the nodal plane at the center of the nucleus. For s orbitals, it'll be 0 along what are called radial nodes, which are infinitely thin spherical surfaces and have no volume. The point here is not to get hung up on terminology or any of this weird stuff. The point is just to say that, unlike in this planets orbiting a star picture that people have of what an atom is, there is no actual spatial, three-dimensional volume where the electron probability is 0. The gap that you're visualizing isn't actually there.
Around what we're going to call the space, or the gap, or the atomic field, whatever you'd like to call it, or the cloud, but it's orbiting around.
Essentially, it's not. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's interesting that you bring up the term cloud as a thing this could be called, while not really seeming to grasp what the term cloud is in reference to.
And the same thing here, you have more protons over there, but it's still kind of clustered together in what we call the nucleus, and you have more electrons, but they're still outside and they're still orbiting around a space.
No, they're really not. You're like 100 years behind on this, in fact. Schrödinger's electron cloud model dates back to 1926.
So we got that. Concept 1, we have water and agua. Same stuff, different name.
Oh, they're the same stuff. Oh man, I wish you'd said that earlier. Now I look so stupid.
Over here, we have different types of atoms that form a water molecule. Different atoms, but the space is the same.
The space between the nucleus and the electron cloud is the same. Sure, it's equally non-existent in all of them.
In between, I put that little bit different shade of yellow in there for the space.
Oh, that was on purpose? I thought your paper just got washed out by the sun everywhere but there. You know what would have helped is red, or blue, or green, or purple. That's a good one.
And now, atom, 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 3 atoms, and notice there's a gap in between the atoms, depending on how quickly they're vibrating, and that space is also the space.
Oh, that's the space, too. Okay, well, look, we could debate about fields and everything, but I don't have any particular objection to saying there's a space between things. What I was objecting to before was just you saying that electrons are these things that orbit the nucleus, and there's just electronless space in between. That just doesn't make sense. And now here we're talking about the space between atoms in a water molecule, and we run up into the same difficulty. If the space is defined as an area of space with no electron probability, well, that's not here either. The oxygen and hydrogen in a water molecule are in a covalent bond, which means they're sharing an electron cloud. So between the atoms, we have the same electron probability issue as within the atoms. There's no electronless space between these atoms either, in the exact same sense. But you know what? I'm just going to agree for the sake of argument that there is a space, because I'm curious what your point is, and I just want to grant this and move on. Fine, there's a space, there's no electrons at all. Electrons are like little rocks that orbit the nucleus. Let's get on with it. Good? Good.
And that's the third concept.
The space is the third concept. Okay, I can conceive of a space. I see it in my head. Now what?
Just very, very simple concepts. And now let's put it all together. Here we go.
That sounds fantastic. I am so glad to hear that. I was running out of things to say about the space.
So we have water and agua, same stuff, different name. We have a space, and some people call that space the gap.
I don't think anybody really calls it anything. I don't think other people are spending their time talking about this as though it's a thing. You're the one making a whole thing out of it.
Some call it chi.
What? People call gaps between atoms chi? Since when is that what chi is? Chi is this whole woo-woo mystical life energy stuff. What does that have to do with, hey, the hydrogen is not directly butted up against the oxygen? There's a little gap there, actually. It's so bizarrely distant from the concept of chi that I'm almost offended on behalf of the Chinese.
Some call it energy.
No, energy does not mean a gap between atoms. They would call that a gap.
Some call it the electron cloud.
You just got done telling me that the electron cloud is all the electrons orbiting outside of this gap. Now you're telling me the electron cloud is the gap. And then what? Electrons orbit outside of their own probability cloud? You keep tossing terms around willy-nilly as if they mean nothing.
In Hindi, I believe they call it the antaral.
Oh, there it is. The Hindi word from before. So yeah, it really is just gap, but in Hindi to be fancy. All right, let's get fancier. In Norwegian, they call it mellomrum. In Esperanto, which I believe they speak in Esperania, they call it interspaco. In Lao, they call it this. In Swedish, they call it gap. Look how fancy I'm being, Jeff Bliss. Do you feel spiritual yet?
But no matter what you call it, it's still the empty space in between the nucleus and the electrons, or the empty space in between the atoms.
No matter what you call it, there still is no such thing as the space between the nucleus and the electrons. But regardless, as I said, we'll call it a thing. Just to finally get us to the God part, which is starting to feel like an impossible dream.
So if this can be called by a different name and it's the same stuff, what if?
What if what, Jeff?
What if?
What if God?
What if?
What if? Of course. If there's different words for water, what if? Because, you know, what if?
What if the space was God?
Can you repeat that for me, Jeff Bliss?
What if the space was God?
Jeff. Jeff. Jeffy boy, Jeff. Bring it in. Come over here. Did you just tell me that this is a literal God of the Gaps argument? Oh no.
What if we called the space God? Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, Jeff. Jeff, what am I going to do with this, Jeff? What am I even going to do with this, Jeff? What am I going to do with this, Jeff?
That would make everything make sense.
Oh, yeah, it makes perfect sense, Jeff. It makes perfect sense, Jeff. What are you doing this to me?
When I was younger, I remember saying, "Where's God?" And the answer was, "Oh,
In the gaps. Look, there's a gap between the floorboards. He's in there. There's a gap between the trees. Maybe he's in there. There's a gap between my teeth, Jeff. Probably he's there too. Look to the gaps, lad.
God's in all places at all times."
No, No, he's only in the gaps. Look at your paper, Jeff. Notice the darker yellow color you've chosen. That's where God is. Not in the nucleus, not in the electrons. Those are places too, but those are the bad places where you shouldn't go. The godless places beyond the gaps. There Satan dwells.
Oh, he's not over there? No. He could be over there and over there and over there at the same time?
Is there a gap there, Jeff? Mind the gap. They can be small and hard to see, so squeeze your eyes if you want to see smaller.
You mean like where it's nighttime on the other side of the planet and it's daytime on the other side? In the same time? Yep.
Meh. Where am I?
But now, this brings it home. This makes it make sense. All right, quick thing about atoms and solidity. This is a stylus.
Jeff, I really need you to stop.
And it is a solid. Well, at least it appears. It feels to my hand quite solid. And it looks solid, but you know what? It's not.
Is anyone a doctor in the audience? No doctors are going to watch this. They know the risks. I'm on my own.
It's not. If you ask a scientist, or basic science will tell you, if you go and you use a high-powered microscope and you go down, you'll find out that it's just a bunch of atoms vibrating very closely together, forming what appears to be solid.
I think there's only one thing I can do. My brain's shot. I gotta get a new one. This one's not working anymore. I'm just gonna take my brain off for now and find a new one in somebody's garbage later.
And that goes for everything. A drop of water, a leaf on a tree.
Oh, a tree. There's a tree. Look at the tree. I should give that tree a hug. That's a cute tree.
A piece of hair, a piece of dust.
Whoa, really? A piece of dust has God inside of it? Whoa. Praise God. Oh, I love God.
It doesn't matter what it is, but at the very, very base level, they're just atoms.
But I have atoms in my kitchen. That means I can have God. I always wanted God. I can feel it in my heart. It's the only part that's working anymore.
And what's below the atom? The molecules, right?
Yeah, I remember that. Atoms is made of molecules.
Or the pieces that we talked about, electrons, neutrons, protons, and the space.
Yeah, proton molecules and spaces and stuff, yeah.
There you go.
No, I was just going to the bathroom. I really gotta pee really, really bad. I'm sorry, sir. I'll hold it in.
So if they're just things that are vibrating together, and then you say, well, wait a second. I remember hearing that God created the seas, and God created the mountains, and God created all this other stuff. How did he do that? How is that possible?
God done it. God done it. That's because God done it. He's God. God do stuff.
How is it possible that atoms vibrate together, forming different things?
I feel dizzy. Can you call my mom?
There's your answer. So if you didn't believe in God before, you got to ask yourself, do you believe that's water?
Of course I believe it's water. It looks like water, so it's water. What else could it be? That's how it works, silly.
Or do you believe that some call it water?
Christians call it water. I read the Bible. Don't you try to trick me, Satan.
And some call it agua?
No.
Do you believe that atoms exist?
No. That's not in the Bible. What am I, a scientismist?
That atoms vibrate and atoms have electrons and neutrons and protons? You believe that?
No. I believe in God.
Well, if you do, I guess you now believe in God.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Or at least have a little different perspective.
No.
And when it comes to the angels and heaven and all the other things I believe, maybe you do too, about God.
Of course I do. I don't have a brain. How could I not?
Does that change anything? No. I still believe in all of that at the same time.
Yeah, man, why not? Just let people believe things, man. There doesn't have to be all this reasons and stuff. Just have faith.
But this is science.
Yeah, look, there's gaps. There's gaps between the drawings. It scientifically proofs there's gaps. And then if scientifically proofs evidences, then that's the proves that the God is. Look, it's yellow. That proves it.
God exists.
Yeah. Man, you're the best at this. Those atheists, they're not even gonna know what hit them.
God bless.
God bless you, Bliss.
And always remember, I truly believe that you can do anything you set your mind to. You've got this. Mindset Bliss.
Yo, Lodge, you feeling all right? Here, put this on.
Oh, okay. Whoa! Oh my God! Oh, that's a good brain.
Yeah, it's the best of the best. I bought a few when you were living with me just in case you needed them.
Oh, thank you. I was losing it there for a bit.
Everyone could tell. The tree called me. He told me you're acting like a jackass.
Thank you, Tree. I'd give you a hug, but I'm not going near you. I'm too smart for that now.
Well, see ya.
Wait a second. Whoa. How'd you get here so fast?
What do you mean?
Well, I thought coming to Earth was this whole process, paperwork, all that kind of stuff. Like, the tree just called you in the last few minutes? How'd you get here?
I walked from my cathedral over there.
Your cathedral.
Yeah?
On Earth.
No, the one you stayed in for years.
The one I stayed in when
you died.
So you moved it?
No.
Wait, but if you didn't move it,
Right.
and if it's in hell,
Right.
then
Right.
I'm in hell.
Duh. Where did you think you were?
Oh no, here comes the fainting. Ah! And there's the peeing.